when you find a happy place, make sure not to spend too much time in your happy place,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
then it'll just turn into normal everyday life and not be as
exactly.
special too. So that's very interesting because, when you actually find something, it makes you feel so good. So you want to just sit in there and you want to stay and just continue that process of your happy place. But then, like, it gets to the point where you feel like you can't not do that, and to where it's not your happy place anymore. You're becoming relying on that certain thing.
Exactly.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Everything's Okay, a mental health podcast brought to you by the one and only Crazy Ant Media. This week, episode 29 of Everything's Okay, we're going to be diving deep into our happy places, whether that be a place, a person, a form of meditation, or basically anything we do to make ourselves happy and to get ourselves out of ruts. We're super excited because, like this podcast, way, way back to when we first started, this conversation could go anywhere. And that's the beauty of this podcast. Anything that has to deal with mental health is something that is on the table worth a conversation. So we're very excited to talk about it. I mean, I know for me right now, we're both kind of in the same place as far as like kind of being in ruts and trying to figure our way out of those and to keep the flame going, stay motivated, and to just not feel so run down. And I mean, of course, health problems definitely play a factor into it. Exercise definitely plays a factor into it. Diet also plays a factor into it. But I mean, right now, I think the biggest thing for me to try to get out of this rut and to get to a happy place is, and I know I talked about this on social media recently, trying to remember the people who are not here anymore and trying to live my life to the fullest for them. I think that makes me happy because it gives me a perspective of where I'm at in life and how it's not as bad as what it could be. We always, as a society and as people, I feel like focus on the negative so much that we don't realize where we're at and how fortunate we are to be where we are at in our lives, to be able to just either go to a job, even though we might not like the job, to go to a job, provide for ourselves, be able to spend money when we want to spend money or when we can pay bills and things like that. So I think it's very important to realize and focus on the positivity. And I mean, I know we talk about all the time, but it's important to take a moment. I feel like every day, every week, what have you, to realize and focus on, what you have rather than what you don't have. And I feel like taking those moments out of each day, each week, each month will definitely help you get back into a happy place. That's for sure.
It well, yeah, yeah, I would agree with that. I just think we're conditioned to focus on the negative. It's because that's what that's what everybody wants you to do. Everybody wants to point out what's wrong or what you can do better or where you should be this way or that way. And that starts really young, right? Like let's be honest about it. It starts all the way back when you bring home a C and your parents are like, "Why'd you get a C? You could be doing better. What's wrong? Why didn't you get that?" And so it starts early on, and so sometimes it's hard to get out of that. Sometimes if you don't, you set. I feel like it starts with that, and then your society just builds upon that, and then we put that on us ourselves and say, well, I didn't do that as good as I could have, or I should have been here by now, or I should have succeeded at this by now. And we put those levels of expectations on ourselves and drive our own happiness down. And so yeah, I think it's critically important to, however you do it, break that mold, break out of that and say, no, I'm happy, and here's why I'm happy. Because I'm here, because I've done this, because I love this person and they love me, or I have this, or I have, and focus on what you do have, what you have done, as opposed to where you could have done differently or what you should have maybe done this way or that way, right? So I think the best way I can describe a happy place, I feel like any way to describe a happy place starts here. If here isn't happy, no matter where you're at or who you're with or what you're doing, you're not going to be happy unless here is happy. So yeah, I'm glad you started it off that way, because there is this just condition of focusing on the negative. And right, and anywhere you look, it's going on, right? You turn on the TV, it's negative. You turn on the news, it's negative. You look out on the street, it's negative. It's something, as opposed to taking the time to notice something. Like for example, and I know this is crazy, but it's just true. When you're scrolling through your feed, right? Because we're all there, we all scroll through, right? We're on TikTok, we're doing whatever. For every one cute video that you see of a puppy doing an adorable thing, right? You see 75 videos for every one of people beating the shit out of each other, or today's political climate, or another shooting, right? You have to go through 75 bad to get to the one cute puppy. Where that's where we need to change it. It's like, let's just focus on the good stuff. I took a great hike today. Let's focus on the great hike, not on the shit that I heard before I went on the great hike, right? So I guess, yeah, happy place. Places that make me happy are things that are, stay away from the negative. Like you really said, it's so, I don't know. For me, there's a bunch of different things. I find myself lately, like whenever I start to get focused on the negative or I start to feel defeated, I just disconnect. Nature is a really happy place for me. I do like to go hiking. I like to be out, whether it's a hike or whether I go up to the mountains or whether I'm walking the beach, just sitting watching a sunrise or a sunset. Just something calming about being out in nature really brings me happiness. Maybe it is because it does clear my head and I don't focus on any of the outside. No pun intended. I don't focus on the outside stuff, but I'm just relishing in the simplistic things of life. A beautiful flower, the deer that's following me, the sound of the birds, or the calm breeze. Right? Those are the kind of things that just make you forget about all the negative shit. So that's one for me. That's and I know you get back in and give me your opinion on some of that stuff, and then I'll come back to some more stuff of mine. But that's a big thing for me right now. Nature, just finding a way to escape the chaos that's going around me.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I want to the pinpoint that really stuck out to me is at the very beginning when we were talking about, societal expectations and things like that. I honestly feel like, you get that sprinkle of societal expectations and then you take it so hard and take it so much to heart to where you put more expectations on yourself than society does, but
Exactly.
the impression that society gives you is so great that then you in turn that into you putting that on yourself.
Yep.
So it's so weird because you're right, because we do blame society for it, but it's all about how we interpret things and how we're able to manipulate. And in regards to consuming media specifically, I mean, like you said, TikTok, because it's funny, the biggest thing that we get reactions out of on social media are rants, which are
Yeah.
negative, which is crazy because I mean that's kind of what people want to see, which is I mean they would much rather see a rant or a fight or like anything else that you were describing than, someone taking that hike or someone, seeing a dog and playing with them because like it's just more clicks, more likes, more views on the stuff that is negative. But yeah, I mean to completely disconnect, I have found that has been very beneficial for me as well. And to do that for me, I have to physically leave my phone somewhere. I
Yeah.
can't
Yeah.
I can't disconnect and take it with me and check on things and stuff like that. I'm a person who finds it very hard to try to wind down and relax. I mean, that's why, I balance it with, different types of indulgences and vices. So, I mean, that can also be a slippery slope. So to be able to have control of that is something that is very important as well. And so to not give the vices the places where they are the happy place, they are the wind down place. I tried to make the happy places people or experiences or, different things to where I can make memories to where I'm not so focused on taking the picture or taking the video or wanting to post it to social media because I feel like that's what I'm really trying to do with photography as well because I feel like I've gotten in such a rut to where like I'm taking pictures so I can post them on Instagram or so I can post them on social media. And it's like, I don't want to do that. I want to take pictures because I enjoy taking pictures and I
Exactly.
enjoy editing them and I enjoy, getting something out of it, creating a memory in that still shot to where it's something that you can continue thinking about in time rather than just posting it and trying to get reactions and interactions from people online. So, I mean, it's that balancing act of trying to figure out what actually makes you happy rather than other people who are making you happy. So, it's trying to figure out yourself and just figuring out who you are as a person and what you like. I think that's the biggest thing because I feel like we lose so much sense of self because of social media, because of the expectation we want for likes and followers and views and things like that. So, I mean, not to make this social media part two, but it's figuring out what you actually like and what your actual happy place is for you, not for social media, not to show anyone else. Like, so that's why like I try to keep some things to myself and try not to make it such a exposure type of thing, right? Like reading current books, like I anything that has to deal with business and orientated like that, of course, I want to post what I've learned and things like that. But when it comes to like different things that I'm reading as far as just for my pure enjoyment, I try to keep that to myself so that, it's like that fine line of what you're doing for others and what you're doing for yourself. So it's trying to differentiate that and trying to, figure out what your true happiness is while you're going through life so that you don't keep having to appease others, but only trying to appease yourself.
Well, and it it crosses, right? I think
It
what you were
does.
saying about the pictures makes a lot of sense because it crosses into what we do also. So one of the happiest places I ever am is when I am on a film set. When I am doing what I love to do and it makes me happy. I am pure joy. Even when everything is going wrong, it's pure joy. It's because it's a passion. It's what I love to do. The surroundings, the people, everything. But like you said with the pictures, it gets to a point where you lose what you're doing it for. Right? It becomes we have to get another one out. We have to have another one before this date because we need content. We need to show that we're doing things. We need to show that. No, you don't. You make films because you love to make films. You tell stories because you love to tell stories. It doesn't give a fuck what, when, how, why. It only matters that you love to do it and that's why you do it. And so that happy place doesn't become a happy place when you're associating the need to do it for whatever external reason as opposed to the want to do it because you love to do it. And I feel like we so often find ourselves in that direction. We have to do another episode because we need content. We have to film another film because we need to show people we're doing films. We need to do this. You don't need to do anything. Right? That's well, the only thing you need to do is take care of yourself and do what makes you happy. Be with people who make you happy. There is nothing else that says this has to be done this has to be done that. And we do fall into that trap. That's true. It's the same thing about and I've done the same thing with the photographs. Oh, that's not good enough. I have to take that again because I want to post this one, or oh, I want to post that. And I think that the one thing that people always find the most surprising about me is when I tell them that I'm actually a very private person. I don't like being in the public. I don't like, which I know I know anybody who listens to the other podcast or just sees me out and about talking about movies or whatever, they're like, "What the fuck?" But it's true. One of my happiest places is my, I don't know how to say this because it's wherever I am, but it's my alone time. Sometimes I just love to be alone in my space, whether that's out on a hike, whether that's in a movie, watching a movie by myself, whether that's just hanging out at the house, whether wherever the case may be. Sometimes that solitude, right, that moment of meditation that I'm getting, or the sitting out on the patio by myself enjoying a glass of wine or a cup of coffee or what, right, that solitude, that's a happy place for me, because so often it's you don't have that. You're in this or you're in that, and you're surrounded by this and you're surrounded by that, and sometimes all of that external jumbles and gets in the way and takes away. So another one of my things that I try to do for happiness and to settle in a happy place or something is to make sure that I get that quality alone time, because a lot of people think being alone, and I'm not saying live your life alone, but I'm saying it's necessary to have that me time every now and then. Just whether the wife's off going to get a massage or a spa day just to pamper herself, or you're going to play golf and just want to be by your. It's okay to want to be by yourself and have that alone time. You don't feel like you have to be thrown into the mix of every situation with every group of people all the time. I feel like that detracts from the happiness sometimes, right? And I mean, we'll talk about like being with certain people makes you happy enough. So of course you don't want to isolate yourself to the point where you're just barren and alone and I guess like living a life of isolation. That's not what I'm saying by your alone time. I'm saying alone time to focus on you. Make sure you're good. Spend a couple extra hours by yourself reading that book or, doing the kind of thing. Nothing wrong with that. And I think that that's another thing where people think there is something wrong with that. Well, I don't have this or I don't have that, or I'm not hanging with this person or hanging with that person. That's okay. It's okay for you to be by yourself and do something. There's no, nobody's looking at you or judging you differently. You think that they are, but again, like we were talking about, that's all in here. Right? That's all in here. You think that person's judging you for sitting in the movie alone, but they're not. They don't give a shit about you. You're saying that they're judging you. So get out of your own head. Just go, I'm happy. I'm here. I'm enjoying this. I'm good to go. And then when you go with a big group of people and you have that big fun, that's awesome too. I think one of my definite happiest times are if I've had a very chaotic week or I've dealt with a lot of drama or whatever's going on, to just have that isolation, to just pull myself in and go, I'm shutting everything off for right now. I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to do what makes me happy at the moment, and then I'll come back out with the rest of y'all. But I need that me. So that's another avenue to where I practice to try to find happiness, because sometimes you just need to escape, man. You just need to go, whoop, nope.
No, that's for sure. And I mean, I've gotten to the point where, like, I've talked on here about social anxiety and being around a whole bunch of people.
Yeah.
And I'm much better on one-on-one conversations than when I step into a big group. I'm just like, oh, okay. But I mean, Emily and I even have an agreement to where, like, if we're hanging out with people a lot, I could be like, okay, I'm taking the next 2 weeks off because this last 3 weeks have been a lot, and not that it's a bad a lot, it's a good a lot, but you still, it's like a battery, like we've talked about with many of our guests, and like we've talked about, multiple times on this. It's a battery. You need to recharge your battery to get back to a point where you feel like you're your most self when you're hanging out with those people, and I think that's what's most important. And one of the points that you were talking about too is sitting on the back porch or just, happy places don't need to be a crazy extended amount of time.
Or
You
money.
can literally take 15 minutes out of your day. Like I like going outside and just sitting and watching Peanut run around the backyard, the
Yeah.
dog run around the backyard. Just taking a little bit of me time, it will take you a long way to be able to, feel more happy, feel more energized to be able to continue moving forward in your everyday life to where you don't feel like you're so burnt out. But I mean, yeah, definitely taking those small pockets out of your day for you. I think that's really important. Like even today, I freaking, it was in between stuff. I had already done my exercise and done a few things for Crazy Ant before getting into the shower. So after the shower, I kind of, clip my fingernails, toenails, put on lotion, just like, it was kind of like a quick 30-minute, listening to a podcast, just taking care of myself, just calming down, not looking at screens, just being in the moment of taking care of myself. And I think that's what's most important too. A lot of happy places can be, like a quote unquote spa treatment, putting on a
Yeah.
face mask,
Yeah.
going to go, get a pedicure, manicure, or whatever the fuck, just being able to disconnect yourself and treat yourself a little bit. Cause I don't feel like us as human beings treat ourselves enough. And then there's that slippery slope where I feel like people treat themselves too much to
Yeah.
where, oh,
Yeah.
you have like 11,000 credit cards and putting all this shit on there. So it can
And
be a little rough.
And the thing is, too, is if you forget to do that me time, that solo time, right? Before you know it, you don't even realize it's happening, but it is.
Yeah.
You become codependent on other things, other people. It's like now I have to be in this group or I don't feel right. I need to
Right.
be there. If I'm not there, I'm letting them down, kind of a thing. I think that a lot of, I want to put this out there because friendships, relationships, business, all of it. If you don't know how or you forget how to function on your own and focus on yourself, then you can't successfully be in a union because at some point that union becomes codependent and that is where you run into trouble, right, because any good relationship, whether it's a friendship, a relationship, a business partnership, whatever, you, in order for the team to work, the relationship to work, you have to understand that it's still two things together there. It's not this. It's still this. And so you need that time to remember that because once it becomes this and you can't go any direction without that, then you're in trouble. And so I think it's critical for happiness and to find your happy place. Sometimes a happy place is here and here. And then this makes that so much better. But you got to remember that it's this. You were this before this and you're still this. So and I
Well, it
feel
kind
like
of it sparked a little thought inside my head when you're talking about all that. Like when you find a happy place, make sure not to spend too much time in your happy place
yeah, yeah,
because then it'll just turn into normal everyday life and not be
exactly.
as special too. So that's very interesting because, when you actually find something, it makes you feel so good. So you want to just sit in there and you want to stay and just continue that process of your happy place. But then like it gets to the point where you feel like you can't not do that and to where it's not your happy place anymore. You're becoming relying on that certain
Exactly.
thing, whether
Exactly.
that be sitting out on your porch all freaking day or like drinking all day or all of these different things. Like you can't, or just like spending the whole week hiking. Like that can be dangerous. Grizzly bears freaking, I mean, you never know what's
Well,
gonna happen. So I think it's important to you know find the intricacies of what your happy place is, and then what, I don't want to say what reality is, but what your your day-to-day routine is.
yeah, yeah.
Put your little day-to-day routine, or put your happy place in your day-to-day routine, but don't make it your routine. I think that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, because it's like anything in life. Once it becomes gluttonous,
Yeah.
Once it becomes an indulgence and you need it and you have to have it, then it's no longer the happiness that it was supposed to be. That's true with
Exactly.
anything in life. Like you were saying at the top of the conversation about vices, or once that enjoyed coffee becomes a necessity, then that's
Yeah.
not an enjoyment anymore. That's a necessity now,
Yeah.
which leads to all
Dependability.
kinds of
Yeah.
trouble. And
Yeah.
like you said, that's the same thing with the happy. Since we're in the film and television game, think of it this way, right? It's what happened with Marvel, right? What made Marvel so great is that they were so awesome. It made you so happy, and you got it, and then you had to build anticipation and wait for it for the next one. So when you got it again, you were happy again. It was like, ah! But when they just boom, 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 and you got it all the
Too
time,
much.
it
Yep.
was too much and you weren't happy with it anymore. It didn't bring you the same excitement when you had to wait to see it, or when you had to, like, right? So that's true with anything that you are trying to build your happiness around. If it becomes gluttonous, if it becomes something that you're just consistently feeding yourself with, and you're putting other stuff aside just to make that your thing, then we've lost what we were trying to do with it. And I feel like that happens a lot, and to nobody's fault sometimes. Sometimes it just becomes a thing, but you have to be aware. You have to be aware that this is happening. Okay, I'm relying on this now for my happiness. Oops. If you're ever in your head and you hear yourself say, I gotta get it. If it's not, I can't wait to get out to, and it becomes, I've got to get out to today, right? I've got to do this. Stop, slow down, and go, wait a minute. What am I doing? Can I take that day off? Can I go try to do something else here? Because the second it goes from I can't wait to I have to, you're in trouble. So when you're trying to find your happy place, if it's an escape, great. If it's a must go to, slow down, wait a minute, just kind of refocus and go, what else can I do today that also makes me happy, to where I don't have to be? And then speaking of, like, people, obviously, right? I think people are a happy place. When you surround yourself with the right people, you're happy. At that, it's just a no-brainer. I don't think people really realize how simple it actually is. If you surround yourself with people who are good people, who love you, who support you, no matter what you're doing, no matter how you're trying to live your life, they're just there. They don't judge you. Those are the kind of people you need in your life for your happy place, right? And then it doesn't matter where you're at. It doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter what job you're in. It doesn't matter. None of that matters. If the right people are around you, that's your home. That's your happy place. And they can go anywhere. So I think it's so important to, I guess, find your people. And I'm talking all kinds of. Find the one love of your life. Find your best friends. Find the one person you can't not want to be around, right? And sometimes those people are not always around, right? Sometimes you're happy. The people that bring you the most happiness are the Marvel movie that you have to wait for, right? You do only get to see them sporadically, but every time you do, it's like overwhelming happiness. And that's okay too. You need those people in your life also, right? You got that one side-by-side sidekick that's with you through thick and thin, but then you also need those people that, they come in and you're like, so for me, and I'm fortunate enough to have all those people, right? I have my day by day, the ride or die people. I have those people that I don't see very often, but when I do, it's the happiest I am. And I have all of those things, and so that makes me happy. That's a happy place. And so, because, I really do think that a lot of people associate, when we're talking about happy places, as physical, tangible places.
Yeah.
But that's not the case. A happy place can just be a state of mind. What makes you happy? What brings you that euphoria, that feeling, right? And sometimes that's just people. Sometimes that's just I'm surrounded with these people and I know I've got them and that makes me my happy place. That one person you can go to for a conversation no matter how bad your day is, you know that person's going to make you smile. That's a happy place, right?
Yeah.
That's not a location. That's not a building. That's a place. My place is with this person having this conversation that brings me joy. That's a happy place. So yeah. And I think that's critically important too. If you have that certain somebody that no matter what, they don't even have to say anything sometimes. Just them there makes you happy. Find those people. Get away from the crap. Stay away from the negativity. Stay away from the drama. Find those people that don't bring any of that. Find those people that just make you happy and who love you for who you are. Because I think that's my biggest happy place is being with people who love me for who I am. All the good, all the bad, all the ugly, everything that I am, they love me anyway. That's my happiest place, obviously. And, that's me, but that's how I try to live life.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I know. I'm trying to think about, like an activity, a thing, and a person. Like the top three, like I feel like things that are like my happy places. Person, obviously, my wife Emily. The communication, to be able to have back and forth with that and just be closer than anyone else, obviously. Uh, Thing, I mean, I gotta say. I don't know. I'm gonna do activity. Activity, I would say being in the pool because that literally makes me physically disconnect and get a tan on. It's summertime. I'm trying to look good. So Emily being in the pool and thing, I would say I don't. That's hard, man. I would say the record player right now because we counted last night. We have 24 records.
Like a
Um,
tangible thing, like
yeah,
touchable, physical
yeah.
thing.
Yeah, I think, to consume something that way is just so different than anything else. So like, yeah, I'd say like the record player and being able to have so many different records of so many different genres. We tried to like organize them last night and it was hard to do because it's just so different. Like every single album is so different. So yeah, Emily swimming in the pool, getting a tan and the record player. I think those three are my top three happy places to be able to just unwind, disconnect, and not think about anything else.
Okay, well, let
I
me
know,
go
right?
in
It's kind of
reverse.
hard.
Let me go in reverse. My tangible physical thing is my sketch pad and
Mm,
my pencils. I really find happiness and a sense of relief and a sense of just being able to disconnect and go inward to my happy when I'm sketching. It
mhm.
just gives me a peace, and it doesn't always come out well. Sometimes I'm like, God, I just couldn't draw today. Fuck, but but I still enjoy. It's that seeing it go from my head to the page and the process and just it makes me happy. It's an expression of my thought, my feelings, my creativity. It's just all so that my physical is that. My tangible touchable thing is that. My place,
Right?
my I gotta tell you, I gotta tell you, I think my favorite place is anytime I have the opportunity to find myself in a mountain esque area with a stream and just like I really love that aspect of nature. I like being in a place with the fresh air and the cool breeze and having to earn it to get to it and then the stream, the water, the calming nature of whether it's a stream or a river or a lake within that. I really do think that's if I'm looking for a physical place, that is where I enjoy it most. Whether it's swimming in that stream or hiking up that mountain or just sitting atop the peak and enjoying the fresh air and looking at the view kind of thing. I think that's my place where I find the most happiness is when I'm doing that. And people, that's like, I mean, it's a no brainer for me. I've got two, and they're very specific. One shall remain unnamed, and one will be named. One is my daughter, your wife, obviously, the single greatest accomplishment of my life. From the moment I knew that child was coming, was the happiest moment of my life. She continues to bring me the most happiness and joy in my life. The single greatest priority of my life is her. Has been since the day I found out she was coming. Will be till the day I leave this earth. She's my goat. She is everything. My other one, which I will not name, but it is that sense of elation, that sense of no matter what I do, where I'm at, the things I've accomplished or the things that I haven't, whether I fuck up, whether I do really good, whether I'm never judged. I'm only seen. I'm only appreciated. I'm only valued, and it's never a not happy moment with this person. It's always great conversation. It's always great communication. It's always, I just, everything about it. There's a sense of whenever I'm around this person or with this person, be it in person or distance, it doesn't matter. It's just that brings me incredible happiness. Like, so there's my place, and my thing. So, there we go. Little tiny things, people. It's just little tiny things,
That's it.
And you know what the
That's
great
it.
thing was about your list and my list? None of that costs money. None of that. That's what we were
Exactly.
kind of talking about, right? You don't have to take these grandiose vacations or buy this amazing car or do this. Sometimes it's the simplest things in life that bring you the absolute most happiness and joy, and it doesn't cost you a dime. It just simply costs you a smile, right? Just a
That's
simple,
it.
and it doesn't get better than that, man. Life doesn't get any better than that. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, one of my favorite records was literally out of the $2 bin at the vinyl store. So, I
Exactly.
mean, like,
Exactly.
it's so funny. But yeah, I mean, it's all about just finding that thing for you or that person or that activity or that place, just finding that in moderation so it still becomes special. That's the biggest thing. And no emails this week. We haven't been promoting it a lot, so it makes sense. But I still like the peak and pit of life, what's been going on recently. I definitely want to end on the peak, but starting with my pit, we mentioned it a little bit earlier, but I mean, it's just finding or being in that rut and trying to get out of that. I think since coming back from the honeymoon, I was still stuck in vacation mode, and then I just got into this, not wanting to go back to my job, but day job because I'm not a big fan of it, but it still pays the bills and things like that. So just being in that little rut, but then finally starting to come out of it because, I have to determine my happiness and just taking back control of my life and not being in that place to where like I feel like, okay, step by step, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, it's go off the beaten path every once in a while. It's good for you. So yeah, I think that is my pit and my peak. I mean, I would say just being around people who make me happy and doing things that make me happy because I wasn't going to the movies a lot by myself recently. And, the past 2 weekends, I went and saw two different movies. So that's been the peak, being able to be back in a theater and to go see things that I really enjoy and that I've really liked. So yeah, it's definitely been one of those things where I feel like I've been able to refine movies and also refine music because I went through a phase where like I really wasn't listening to a lot of music or at least a lot of new music. But now like I'm trying to get back into music and trying to, discover some things that were around the same time periods that I like and discover new people because that's one of the things too. Like if you don't like the nowadays music, like there's so many years before I was even around that has music that I had never even listened to before. So discovering music in that regard has been fun too. So those have been my pit and peaks.
So my pit, and it's oddly my peak is related to my pit, but and it's an odd peak, but it for me it's a peak. My pit is genetics. um, my health has been giving me a problem as of late, and anybody who's known me for a long time knows that genetics are a bitch, and there are rampant heart problems in my family, and I am experiencing some of those issues again that has been causing me all kinds of stuff, just lack of focus and increased weight and no motivation, and I'm fatigued and I can't sleep, and it's all heart related. It's all you know. And that's bothersome because I like to do things. I like to have my life the way that I'm used to having it and doing things that I'm used to doing, and every so often this plays a part in it. But my peak, and it is a peak. Trust me, it is a peak. It might not seem like it, but it is that I'm aware of it now. I know now I'm in control of it. Okay, I know what's going on, so I'm going to take care of that so that I can go back to being normal again. Where in the past, I for whatever reason, maybe that outside noise, maybe the wrong people around me, but I would ignore those things, and I would get in trouble and end up in the hospital, and in the wrong way, not in the voluntary way, in the ambulance way. So my peak is that I'm happy. And I'm grateful and excited about the fact that I'm aware of what's going on and am able to deal with it so that it isn't a problem, that it doesn't keep me from living the life that I want to live and do what I want to do. And that makes me happy because, like I said, in the past, that wasn't me. I didn't pay attention. I didn't, or maybe I did and ignored it for whatever reason. But so yeah, I'm dealing with some peaks right now, but I mean some pits right now. But my peak is I'm taking care of it. So and that brings me a little bit of joy. So we'll just deal with it. It is what it is. But yeah, I mean, I'm thankful every day, y'all, that I have the people in my life that I have in my life, that I get to do the things that I get to do, and that I've been to the places that I've been, and I have my little happy things, and I'm just eternally grateful for all of that, and for every day that I get to wake up and continue to do all of that. So my happy place, right here, right now, in the moment. That I guess that's the best way for me to sum it up. Your happy place should be right now, present in the moment, because that's life. You might not have tomorrow, and you don't have yesterday again. You only have right now, where you're at, what you're doing. So live that fucker. Make it the best possible thing you can do and be happy. Wherever that is and whatever that is with whoever it is, do it, because that's happiness. That's the happy place right there, the present.
That's right. That's right, man. This has just been an amazing conversation. And before we end it, we just want to send our thoughts and prayers out to Delana Killick, our chief marketing officer. Her aunt passed away that past week. So we just want to send our condolences and thoughts and prayers out to her.
Yes.
She is an amazing individual. And we just wanted to do that. But anyway, guys, thank you so much for tuning into this episode. It's been a very enlightening conversation. It makes us think different ways. Like, the overindulgence in the happy place. Like, I had never thought of that before. Literally just, boom, came right here.
Yeah.
But that's the beauty about these conversations. That's for sure. That's for sure. Be sure to follow us everywhere at Everything's OKP on social media. And then you guys know you can both follow us both personally at all the good places. But we appreciate all of you for tuning in to this episode. Where is your happy place? Be sure to comment below and send us a peek and pit in your life, or send us an email at info@crazyantmedia.com if you want to talk about a mental health grievance or a mental health triumph that's going on in your life right now. We're all ears, man. We are here to help you. And like we say all the time, if this podcast can help one person, that's all that matters. We don't care about anything else. So we just want to tell you about our journey and see how it may help you in the long run. That's for
Facts.
sure. But all the good, all the bad, all the ups, all the downs, everybody just has to remember to keep moving forward, keep going, keep coming out on top, and everything's okay.